What if the reason that your Christian life feels so weak, or that you struggle with the same sin, or that even your prayer life feels dry, is not because God has left you, but because you have not asked for what God has promised? You see, in John 14-16, the night before Jesus was crucified, Jesus repeats one promise over and over again. I will send a helper. But the question is this: have you asked for this helper? In John 14:16, Jesus and the disciples are in the upper room. Chapter 13, Christ has just washed the feet of the disciples, and now they're just sitting and listening to Jesus. And Jesus is hours away from being arrested. And the disciples are confused and afraid, and their world is about to collapse. And instead of giving the disciples a strategy, instead, Jesus gives them a person. John 14:16 says this: "And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be with you forever." You see, the Holy Spirit isn't temporary strength, but rather God is dwelling in you. And Jesus says in that same chapter that he will not leave us. You see, the Spirit is a cure for spiritual orphanhood. And the reason all of this matters is because across chapters 14, 15, and 16, you see that Jesus continually says, whatever you ask for, you will ask. Ask and you will receive. That word, ask, over and over is mentioned by Jesus. And the Spirit alongside asking is promised. So, you see, Jesus isn't just saying, oh, just ask for the Holy Spirit once, but rather he's saying continually ask over and over, moment by moment, for the Spirit to be with you, to dwell in you. And the reason that he wants us to ask is not because he can't give the Holy Spirit to us, but rather he is not going to force us to be intimate with him. God is a God of love, and when it comes to love, it means that he's not going to force. And that's a beautiful thing, because the ruler of this world, Satan, he ultimately wants to force. He forces his way into situations to steal, kill, destroy. But God's character is not like that. He doesn't force us to do anything. He allows us to have freedom of choice. But our choices are not the best. That is why we need the Spirit to lead us and guide us into all truth. And you see, throughout these chapters, Jesus describes what the Spirit does. You see that the Spirit teaches and reminds us of Jesus. You see that the Spirit testifies of Christ, that it convicts of sin, righteousness, and judgment, and he guides us into all truth. If we lack conviction, if sin doesn't bother you, if Jesus feels distant, then the answer isn't effort, but rather it's the Spirit. Have you asked for the Spirit? Because it's with the Spirit that we gain that boldness. It's with the Spirit that we become changed. And Jesus tells the disciples in one of these verses that it is better for him to leave them so that he can send this helper than for him to be with them physically. And if we just think about that for a moment, it's better that we have the Holy Spirit than rather having Jesus right next to us. So the real question again is, have we asked? Sometimes we might be prideful. We might think we're fine. We might fear convictions, or we might like the control. But asking means dependence. Asking means full surrender. So if we are truly surrendered to Christ, it means we must ask. It means we need the Spirit to truly be following Christ. And it means that the Holy Spirit is not just a feeling. It's not. The Holy Spirit is the presence of God empowering obedience and glorifying Christ through our life, in us and through us. So here's the question again. Have you asked? Not casually, not weeks, months, years ago, but have you asked today, right now, in this moment, for God to give you his Spirit? Jesus said, ask and you will receive, and that your joy may be full. Another passage says, ask and it will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. Jesus has promised us victory over sin. He has promised us a deeper intimacy with him, a greater boldness, and a real spiritual life through his Spirit. So, if you haven't asked, I implore you, ask right now. Ask God to come into you, to dwell with you, to be with you. And ask not just now, but tomorrow. Ask the week after, day by day, moment by moment. Because he wants that relationship with you. He wants to be with you. And he will never leave you nor forsake you. So, God bless you, and I hope you ask, and that God leads you in all truth and opens your eyes to convictions and shows you his path. Because there's this beautiful verse in Isaiah, I believe 42:16, where it says, and I'll bring the blind by a way that they know not. I'll lead them in paths that they have not known. I'll make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them. And then just dwell on that. Dwell on that, because we are blind because of this world, because of sin. And God just wants to bring us out of that darkness, out of that crookedness, into his marvelous light, into his straight paths of truth. And it's promised there that he will not forsake us. So again, ask and it will be given to you, that your joy may be full in Jesus Christ.